Morning. We're going to move right into our public comment again. Thank you so much, Clerk, for the reminder about the roll call. Certainly, Clerk, you have the floor now to bring our citizens, those who want to speak this morning.
Thank you and good morning. We do have one citizen who signed up to speak this morning. Just a reminder before we start, you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your 3 minutes are up, I will let you know that to go ahead and wrap up your comments. Please restate your name and your subject when I call on your name. Mr. Dixon, you can go ahead and begin.
My name is LaVon Dixon. I have two separate issues I'm going to address. One on this HOA related, and the other one is going to be the waterfall issue I've called in about 15 times about that's still unresolved as well. If you want me to start beginning, I'll be happy to move forward.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So if you all are ready for me to speak, I'll be happy to move forward.
Yes.
All right. The first issue is regarding the HOA. From that standpoint, I spoke with my commissioner probably 40, 50 times regarding this. Mr. Robinson, I've also spoke with the Madam Chair as well on several times. I called in a few weeks ago and I actually spoke with both our Madam Chair and Commissioner Robinson about what was happening regarding HOA foreclosures on people's homes. From that standpoint, I was in a dispute with my HOA regarding fraudulent fines that were assessed to me. From that standpoint, and this is something that was really hanging over my head for an extended period of time. And I was trying to get that resolved. And I had called in to speak with one of the members of the sheriff's office who does the home foreclosures. And she was actually alarmed by the volume that she was seeing with the home foreclosures by HOA and by one particular management company, which is the management company I've been speaking with as well. And the individual had actually requested that some commissioners or some city officials actually contact them regarding the issue because what they thought was kind of alarming. And I reached out to both my commissioner and the chair and spoke to them directly and provided them information in terms of contact information for the individual and everything.
Need everyone to mute their mics, please.
I do not want to continue.
Sorry. Need everyone. There she is. Okay, thank you. You have the floor again, Mr. Dixon. We apologize.
No problem. No problem. And I spoke to my Commissioner Kelly Robinson. I spoke to the Madam Chair about the issue directly. From this standpoint, I actually provided contact information for the individual at the Sheriff's Office for them. And when I spoke to both of them, they said they're going to contact them to kind of look into the issue itself. And I spoke to the individual who I spoke to at the Sheriff's Office last week, and she said no one took time to even give her a call. So I just thought that was extremely disappointing from that standpoint, that no one took, a couple minutes out of their day to just give her a call and just ask what she was seeing or try to address the issues. This is something that's been ongoing in Douglas County, Douglasville, for an extended period of time. This is not anything new. I think there was something called a HOA boot camp was supposed to be designed to address this issue a few years ago. I know my council member loves to hear himself speak and post videos of himself speaking at these boot camps and send out emails regarding it. It seems like nothing has been resolved regarding this issue. So I was just extremely disappointed that no commissioner actually just took 2 minutes to actually give the person a call at the sheriff's office to see what they were seeing from that standpoint. It was just extremely disappointing. The other issue is the issue with my water flow problem with the drainage issue. I pay taxes in the amount of $1,000 every year. I think everyone in my community pays a stormwater drainage fee as well on a monthly basis to cover these expenses from that standpoint, but it still seems to be unresolved. I had a group of individuals came out in front of my home a few weeks ago. I think it was probably about 7 or 8 individuals. This is the second time a group of individuals actually came out to my home. Kelly Robinson, my commissioner, actually led this team. We had quite a few people from several different departments. They're all out. This is, like I said, this is the second time that all these individuals came out to look at issues and talk about issues. From that standpoint, this doesn't include the individuals that have come out from the different departments to actually review the issue. So I'm just hypothetically thinking it's probably been about 15 or 20 visits to group and 15 to 20 others to kind of look at the issue. But still, nothing has actually been done except someone came out and just scraped up some gravel about a year and a half ago. Let me rephrase it, about a year ago, and it's just still unresolved, and that's kind of problematic. We also had, my commissioner felt it was necessary for him to have an attorney present while they were looking at the water issue. So I'm not sure why my commissioner, Kelly Robinson, felt it was necessary to have an attorney present during that time period. But this attorney, it seems like a very high price attorney. He brought his card, and he came away from Lennox. I think he came away from Lennox to be here. And I'm assuming that his rates are over $400 or $500 an hour. And my question is this. I mean, I think
Mr. Dixon.
Take control, guys.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. I think
okay, thank you.
The cost of everyone coming out to visit my home is actually more than the cost it would take to actually address the water issue. So those are my two issues, and hopefully I will actually get a call or receive some type of feedback from my council member or someone regarding this. From the standpoint, I've never actually received any feedback from anyone after I've done these BOC meetings, but I welcome the opportunity to speak to someone about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Dixon. We certainly will take
Madam Chair.
advisement. Vice Chairman Robinson, you would like to respond to Mr. Dixon?
Yes, on behalf of the administration, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely. You have a
Thank you, Madam Chair. To citizens at large, to Mr. Dixon, and obviously the administration, from time to time, we as commissioners do have to respond to what's called constituent services. Citizens find themselves in situations where me as a legislator can choose to advocate on their behalf or not. It's a choice. You try to do the best you can, but you also recognize the chain of command. My job is not day-to-day. It is not executive. My job is what's happening within the administration and how can I help fix this. Madam Chair, your administration has done well by this situation. This is noise. It's unwarranted. The same gentleman who suggested that we brought out a staff member because you went through reorganization, it was proper. This same citizen almost attacked my county administrator. I'm glad my attorney was there. So don't play with this. Don't do this. Right? I mean, literally, I had to make them walk away. It was too volatile. Now, on the agenda tomorrow, we are working actively on the situation. Director Cowher has a solution. It's been authorized properly and duly done. It'll move forward. This is a private sector matter. HOAs are civil. But of course, everybody knows, and thank you, Board of Commissioners and the Planning Zone, they helped us pass the UDC, a new provision that allows us to now to affect what elections and financials on an annual basis. Now, that's not my job, nor do I have the power to go beat up HOAs. Take that up with the state. Take that up where it belongs. But at the local level, I'm doing all I can. We got the public works on lock. We'll do the UDC. I've got, I'm in place where I'm going to meet our new chief judge about HOA courts and mediation and things of that nature. Already in play. All this is noise. It's unnecessary. Like, look, I got your best interest, but you want to use this as a little platform to act like this? Okay. But please never attack my staff again. There will not be another time, Mr. Dixon. Let that be known for the record. Madam Chair, I yield.
Thank you so much, Vice Chairman Robinson. Okay, thank you. Any other remarks, Board? All right, again, thank you, Mr. Dixon, for coming in, and certainly we'll take this matter under advisement. Clerk, we have anyone else signed up for a public comment? I need everyone to mute their mics. Thank you. Clerk, do you have anyone else signed up for public comment?
No, Chairman, we did not have anyone else sign up, but I would like to extend it to if there's anyone else on the line that would like to speak during public comment. Okay. Being none, Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Clerk Watson. Board of Commissioners, certainly, if you just be prepared for the approval of our minutes tomorrow. We have our commission meeting minutes, work session minutes, and executive session minutes that need your approval or denial. Board of Commissioners, we have two presentations this morning. I did ask Dr. Memark or request her to come in, and Lisa Crossman to give us a quick update regarding this variant Omicron, and certainly I know Delta is still on the horizon. And good morning, Dr. Memark and Lisa. Dr. Memark, certainly you have the floor at this time to bring the good news to the Board of Commissioners. I'm not sure how good it is, but certainly you have the floor. Good morning.
Good morning. Lisa had a previous engagement, so I'll be doing the quick update for you all this morning. And we don't have it in presentation form, so I'll just go ahead and just kind of let you know what's going on, okay? So currently, I know the last few weeks when I've come to talk to you, we definitely were in definitely more dire situations, but we are seeing improvements across the state as well as in Douglas County. So that definitely is good news this morning. What we're seeing across the state from last week is a 50% drop in cases over the last 7 days. So that's tremendous and what we've been waiting for over the last few weeks. But even with that, what we're seeing is 159 out of the 159 counties across the state of Georgia are still in high transmission. And so we still have community transmission that is happening and at very high levels. When we look at declines in hospitalizations, we are seeing that as well. So that is very good news as well, except the hospitals are still very, very busy, but we are seeing declines in COVID hospitalizations. The only kind of bad news that's a lagging indicator is the confirmed COVID deaths. They are seeing an increase in COVID deaths over the last 7 days of 86%. So remember, this is what's called a lagging indicator, which means that it will lag behind the case numbers and hospitalizations. And so unfortunately, we are at that phase right now in this current surge where we see deaths that are coming in. Now, when we look at Douglas County, what we're seeing right now is case rates for the 2-week numbers are at 604 over 100,000 cases. And so although that is still 6 times higher than what we would like to see, it is tremendously lower than what we had. We were up over 3,500 cases per 100,000. So 600 is definitely heading in the right direction. We accompany that with a 15.8% positive percentage. And so of all the PCR tests that are coming back positive, we're seeing 15.8% of those that, all the PCR tests, 15.8 are positive. And so that's a lot better too. We were over 35% at one point. And so we do want that to be, 5% or lower, but we're heading in the right direction with that as well. Currently for confirmed deaths as well as presumed deaths is 357. So we do see deaths continue to come in Douglas County, and hopefully that will be the last indicator for this surge, and that will slow down as well too. The area hospital is very busy. It continues to be busy this morning, but it's not in severe capacity, which is good news. This morning they're kind of doing some ICU work, and so have some ICU beds that are being moved around this morning. So. But they are doing better than they were, so that's definitely good news as well. When we look at the vaccine numbers for the state of Georgia, we're at 62% for first doses and 55% for having the full course series. Now the booster number is at 21% for the state of Georgia. When you compare that to Douglas County, what we're seeing is 53% that have received the full first dose and 48% that are fully vaccinated. And they're a little lower at 18% for booster rates. Why this is extremely important right now, what we're trying to do is get everybody to make sure that they get their booster shots. We have the Omicron variant that is right now trying to make some headway against Delta. And we're seeing that in different countries. As of last week, there were over 57 countries that were seeing increases in Omicron's BA2 numbers. And so right now, we had Delta that we previously went through, and then we have Omicron that took over. Now we have subvariants of Omicron, the BA2 and 3, that are out circulating globally. And so what we're seeing in countries like Denmark is that BA2 is taking over the original Omicron. What we're finding is that it's considered to be more transmissible, but not more virulent or deadly. So that's good news. But what we're seeing even more of is that boosters and your vaccination series are really helping against hospitalization and death. And so remember, everyone 5 and over are eligible for the vaccine series, and 12 and over are eligible for the boosters. So it's important as this continues that when you're at about 5 months out to get your booster shot, and 2 months after in Johnson & Johnson, and that will bring your immunity back up again. So right now we're heading in the right direction. I recommend everybody to remember to get your booster shot, 12 and over. And remember, have some well-fitting masks when you go out in public. We're getting better and better, but we're not quite there yet, that we're not transmitting pretty easily out in the public. And we still have testing available too at Arbor Place and at the Epicenter as well. And I can take any questions if anybody has any questions this morning.
Thank you so much, Dr. Meema, for the thorough presentation or the update as well. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions for Dr. Meema this morning? Any questions for? It sounds like we don't have any questions for you this morning. We just thank you for keeping us updated at this very. I have one for you, Dr. Meema. I understand that there is another variant coming behind V1 and V2, VA1 and V2, which it sounds like it doesn't even have, it's not even part of the Greek alphabet. What can you talk to us about that a little bit?
I don't have a lot of information yet on the ones outside of the Omicron subvariants, the B2 and B3. So I know that there are some that I think Lambda and Mu are out there right now, but they're considered just of interest and not quite of concern. So if you all remember when Omicron came out, it quickly reached the status of being of concern, and that's because of the number of mutations that it had. So you will continue to see lots of different variants come out, but if there's nothing that's immediately concerning globally, then they'll just kind of call it a. They're
recording in progress.
Those organizations.
So you guys will not have any on hand. Like I noticed some of the other counties are giving them out in record numbers. I don't know, because like I said, this is not a new question that you and I have had conversations about, though.
Yeah.
But so how are they doing it by doing a community drive up, get a kit, blah blah blah, versus what you guys have or don't have? I'm just curious. So
yeah, thank you for asking that. So those are actually county driven drives that are done, and so Cobb County has ordered some, and they I have to tell you that it was very difficult for them to get any kits, and so they did a small drive. DeKalb County, Fulton County, Gwinnett County have all done different things, and so usually it's the county that procures them using their ARPA money or whatever, and then they give them out to their citizens. And so that's a separate kind of way that it's being done. So it's just a regional county by county drive that's being done.
Got it. Okay, got you. Because I'm just curious to know, I thought that was going through the health boards or anything like that. But so I see that they're not doing it that way. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't gotten funding or the supplies to do those, so they're very expensive. So they usually go through county.
That's okay. That's fine. And last, but I think you mentioned the masks. That's the same layout as well, outside of going to various pharmacies and so on, and get them that way, not through you guys, and get an abundance of those that we can hand out as to our citizens of Douglas County.
Absolutely, same thing.
Got it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Dr. Meema.
No problem. Thank you.
Again. I yield back now, Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell.
Madam Chair?
Okay. Commissioner Carthen, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Dr. Meema, I have one question for you. Can you give us a little bit of when we should use the kits? When should we use them, since we have 4 and each home is now able to get them from the government? Can you help us on that? Is there a guideline as to when to, so the public and myself would know?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And so with the kits, so the difference with the kits that you're receiving at your homes, those are the rapid antigen kits, right? They're considered to be a little bit cheaper than the PCR. But the only thing is, and they're faster, right? The only problem with them is that they're not considered the gold standard. So they're actually not as sensitive, you know what I mean, as getting the PCR test. And so obviously if you need some sort of record, like if you're traveling or you need to, you know, get into somewhere and you need a record, then you need to go through an organization that will give you a paper record of what your result was. And you can get a rapid that way too, or the PCR. Now the home test, you know, you only get a few. And so I only have a few at my house. And so it's interesting how, you know, it's one of those things where it's almost last minute. So I'll give you an example. You know, we were going up to our retreat over the end of the week, and we decided to go ahead and test each other to make sure that we wouldn't give COVID to each other. But, you know, it was kind of one of those last minute things that I didn't have time to go and, you know, go to CVS and get an appointment and do all of that. And so I was like, oh, look, I have these kits. Let me just go ahead and swab myself, and then I can head to my retreat and feel safer that way. And so, you know, that's what I would use them, the ones that you have home, almost like emergency, because we have a lot of tests right now. You can get a PCR test within 24 hours. You can go to CVS. You can go to Walgreens. There are different places you can go. But if you're short on funds, you can use your rapid test, or maybe you got to go see, you know, grandma, and grandma has a lot of medical conditions, and you all are out and about quite often. You want to make sure you don't get her sick. Maybe you do the swab just to make sure. So those are, you know, it's tough because you only got a few. And so I would just use them carefully. But if you can plan ahead and make an appointment for a PCR or rapid, I would do that if you can. It'd be different if you had dozens and dozens and dozens of tests. Then I would say, oh man, you know, try to test yourself often. But we really don't have that many. So this is what I do is I use them for emergencies. And so I would suggest that for you all as well, and try to, you know, schedule out stuff if you can.
Thank you so much for that. I yield, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carlin. Thank you so much, Dr. Memark. Then further questions from the board, we're going to move on to the next item. Thank you again, Dr. Memark. Next, Board of Commissioners, we have a SPLOST update from our own communications director of our SPLOST, Mr. David Good. Good morning.
Good morning. How's everyone doing today?
Doing great. You're sitting right behind the penny. That's great.
Yes, I decided to change it up a little bit.
Yes, okay, well, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. What we'll be going on over today will be the December revenues and work through January. And once the slide ends, we'll have a vendor report, and then Terry Gable from Atlas will be here to help answer any questions. As you can see, this is the beginning of our SPLOST slide. Next slide, please. And what we will be covering will be projects that are completed, as well as activities that's been going on in January. Next slide, please. Right now, as you can see, the finances remain strong. We are at the highest that we've had during this completed time of SPLOST. That's $3,256,379 in December. That's almost $1.2 million above original projections. And just as a reminder to the citizens and to the board and to the staff, we received 72.26% of that. The rest of it is split among the cities of Stale, Douglasville, and Villa Rica. And right now we have been using PAYGO money probably since I believe July of 2021, and it'll be PAYGO from here on out. We'll be paying the bond come April, but we already have that money to the side. Since the beginning of this SPLOST back in April of 2017, we are about $130 million, $130,254,898. That's about almost $15 million above original projections of $115,985,652. Next slide, please. This slide actually shows everything that's went on in 2021. And as you can see, we've had as low a number as 2.1 to as high as 3.2. So it is varying. But since March of 2021, we have been at 2.6 million and higher. so that we are trending up. And right now we are looking at about 32 million, 32.2 million was achieved during the last calendar year. Next slide, please. Here are the completed projects. We'll have some pictures later. There's the 2020 ambulance that was delivered last month, as well as the 2021 ladder truck, or some people call it aerial truck, also delivered last month. The aerial truck came in at 1.1 million, and the ambulance came in at a little bit over 223,000. We also have at Maximum Road at Thunder Road. That is the actual.
I need everyone to mute their mics. Lisa, I need everyone to mute their mics. Rick, thank you. You have the floor again. Good.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We also have the Maximum Road at Thornton Road. This is the actual SR6 project that's done by GDOT. That was at a cost of 2.87 million. Now that's in intersection improvements to add a turn lane, so that project is completed. So if you ride up and down Thornton Road, passing over Maximum, which turns into Austell Road, you will see those drastic improvements that were much needed. Also, we have the roof on the Deer Lake Gym that is newly completed. Next slide, please. This is a picture of the brand new ambulance, and the next slide is a picture of the brand new ladder truck. Next slide, Rick. This is the ladder truck. Next slide, Rick. This is the intersection here at Maximum Road and Thornton Road. These are the actual new turn lanes. The picture over there to your right is going into Cobb County, and the picture to your left is coming up to the Thornton Road intersection. Next slide, please. Right now, we are ongoing with the 2021 resurfacing of 22 miles. Baldwin has completed the patching and resurfacing. We're just waiting for the final stripping before we accept that this job is completed. Also at Fairplay in Billock, we're doing the fencing in the dugout at both Billock and Fairplay, and we're doing a wall replacement over at Billock, and this is for a cost of $800,000. The next phase is to advertise for construction, and we anticipate the starting of construction in 2022. Next slide, Rick. And that's the end of that phase of it. Now we're going into the SPLOST vendors. This year, by the end of January, we had 144 total vendors. 54 of those are right here in Douglas County. Another 43 were right on the outskirts of Douglas County, and the rest were either further out or into another state. That's for a total of 91 projects. 34 of those projects are active, 57 of them are completed. And as you saw earlier, we only mentioned a couple of projects, but those were ones that actually had changes within the last month. Next slide, Rick. And we represent, when I say we, I mean local, represent 67% of the SPLOST program. We're still out there seeking businesses, seeking vendors, and we actually not too long ago had a doing business around Douglas County. We were able to meet some new vendors and speak about opportunities with the SPLOST. Next slide, please. This is the amounts that you will see. Douglas County has about $12.4 million of the SPLOST. Those within Douglas County have $25.2 million, and that's around $37.6 million that are coming towards the local vendors, and that represents 57% of the SPLOST funds. Next slide, please. And for DBEs and minority owned, we have increased to 84% of those active projects. So those 34 projects, 84% of those projects have minority or DBE while women-owned participation. Next slide. And with that, Madam Chair, both myself and Terry Gable are here, and I turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David Good, and also thank you for being here as well, Mr. Gable. Board Commissioners, do we have any questions for our SPLOST management team at this time? Okay. Sounds
yes,
like
Madam Chair.
Vice Chairman Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I want to come back to Mr. Good or Terry. Two things. One is going to be about the financial, and the other one will be about a project specific. We'll do them in that order. So David, again, in comparing, how much was it in December that we came in as a dollar amount?
3.2 million.
3.2 million. And what is our normal? What was our projection, our forecast from the beginning?
2,077,000.
2077, is that accurate?
Yeah, 2,077,715.
Right. So it's mean to you said about 32 million. What was that number again overall?
Overall for the entirety of the year?
Yep.
Yes, a little bit over 32 million.
32 million. All right. So I'm framing this is that today is what, February? In about 45 days or so, we will have paid off, making our last payment on the SPOS, paying off the bond. And so the remaining excess, and that's really where I'm going, is once we pay that off, what is the excess that we can anticipate going into 1 year later, April 2023? The best you can. I know this is not to bind you. I'm making a point.
Well, from going on the numbers that we were seeing, we were looking at closer to 31, 32 million. But because of how December came in, 32 million was now the hit point for year 5. So if we see the same numbers, we could go up to 34 million the next time. But that's not conservative numbers. That's estimated based upon this last year.
All right, no problem. We'll leave it there. So 34 million to my peers. And so you got this excess. I know we've got some projects that are being programmed. At some point, the SPOS will come to sort of an endpoint, but then there's a need to, like, we got unfinished business. So is there, Madam Chair, this is what I was asking, is there a list of projects that's being compiled for the board to look at about unfinished business of the people? In other words, whatever we won't get to that's on the list, that's below the line, that we should like, look, y'all got to park that right now. Right? I mean, at some point, who's looking at the cutoff and the pivot and the decision point? So I'm thinking that sometime around May or June, the board will make its own decision. But I'm sure somebody compiling a list. I'm just asking, that's my only question. Is somebody compiling a list of all existing unfinished plus things that we just can't get to so that we can make a proper decision?
This list is being compiled and actually being maintained by our team, our project management team, which is David Good and Terry Gable. And you remember a couple of months ago, we did take a look and we added some projects and we reshuffled some things. So we still do have that list in play. Am I correct, Communications Director? Good.
Yes, Madam Chair, we do. And at this point in time, we're looking at all the departments at the end of it. Those numbers, we are hitting those numbers. We might be under just a little bit, but right now we're looking at pretty good numbers to end out the SPOS based upon the projects that we said that we can get to. There's some other ones that will need to go into another SPOS or into another T-SPOS, but we do have those numbers. We do have that without this.
All right. Madam Chair, the reason I asked is that the board made at least a commitment to at least explore our public safety. You got a fleet that needs to be replaced. We got a security system that we know we need to deal with. We've got some facilities that night. And so it's about strategic planning. We're talking about, not that we're going to do it today, but you've got to make a decision for tomorrow. And I just want to know I just want information. I want the board to have information so they can make a proper decision. So I'm not pressing it right now, Mr. Chair. Just, can we get a commitment from you to David, get a list. And by the time we get together again, can you at least have a baseline? It doesn't bind us. Nothing is done by binding in these things. It's just a work session. But we need information before we can even get there. Madam Chair, I yield. That's all.
Yes, sir.
We can make that happen. Okay. Yeah, I certainly wanted to give Mr. Gable an opportunity to weigh in. Do you have any updates for us, Mr. Gable, by any chance?
No, ma'am. I mean, David's done a good job of covering everything. To Commissioner Robinson's point, I get a sense of what he's looking for. So we do have the reforecasted list that that was built off what we projected through the rest of the program. Mm-hmm. We're certainly hoping to finish all the projects that are on the list, with the revenues coming in as good as they are. Mr. Dukes, with obviously with parks, we've already peaked at his 17%. So we're already working on some reforecasted projects with Gary. That's backed by the numbers we're seeing right now. But I'll get with David, and we'll certainly look at the point brought up by Commissioner Robinson and put together some stuff for you guys.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel.
Oh, yes, and Madam Chair, also, just for the commissioner's information, I did do a breakdown of the number that's collected in December of that 3.2 million. 2.35 million is how much the county will receive. That's 72.26%. Then 1.2 of that will go to transportation. 753,000 of that will go to fire EMS, and 400,000 will go to Parks and Rec. So that's how much will come in from the month of December. I know that was our highest performing month, but I did want to put in some context to what Commissioner Robinson was speaking.
Thank you so much for the context. Any other questions, board?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Mitchell, you have more.
Just one, and I know, David, that you and Gary have probably sent this out, but can you resend out the forecast of what we've spoken up to and the numbers we made adjustments to? And I think this went out even before the committee decided to move forward with the project list is Parks and Rec. So that way, as requested by Chairman Robinson, we can kind of not revisit it, but let them see that again. Because I know we've actually had this conversation before. I just want to kind of make sure that we haven't forgotten about it, basically. So can you guys send that information back out again?
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, and that way we can kind of.
Okay, yes. So if you remember, part of this project we had was on the original list, and with Gary's numbers running as high as they were, we were not able to do the fencing back last year. So I guess my point there being is that we've already had some of the design was already done, which was great. We did do that, and that got it close to being shelf ready. So what we've done this year, and since the decisions were made to go ahead and move forward with some of the projects, is we went back and updated the plans and the specs, and we've got the final copy today. Now we're sending them over to procurement to advertise. So we'll advertise that. It'll be advertised for 30 days, as you know, and then we'll have to get the numbers in and then present them back to the committee and the board. If everything goes good and we're on where we hope we're going to be as far as budget, we've got a 6-month completion on the project. So if we give and what will drive that's a notice to proceed. So if we get the contractor notice to proceed, say April 1st, it'll be 6 months from there. Hopefully we'll have a completed both projects. It'll be led at the same time, both Bill Art and Fair Play, as we did the concession buildings. So that's the goal. Hopefully in the fall we'll be near completion on it.
Thank you for that update for the public. With that, Madam Chair, yield.
Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Carpenter. Commissioner Guy, you have the floor.
Yes, well, I've got Terry. Terry, could you give us an update on the Highway 5 turn lane and the turn lane there at Reynolds Road?
Yes, and if you would like more detail, obviously Miguel can chime in. But the State Route 5 project, we're very close. Miguel's we're in the right-of-way phase, and they were moving through that fairly quickly. I think there was some changes in the ownership. Miguel said it has extended it to a point as far as the actual acquisitions of the property. There are 4. We were hoping to get it let the first quarter, but it looks like it will be late spring going into summer, based on what the comments Miguel's made as far as his staff and the consultants as far as where we'll be. So that's we're looking at certainly letting that project this year. But it is probably going to be later, a little later in the summer before we'll actually get a contractor out on the street. The Reynolds Road project is very, very close. The only thing we're still waiting on that permit, the 401 permit, for that project. Miguel's real close, working with the folks at environmental that issue the environmental permits. So any day with that, we're expecting that to come in and we can get that project let certainly this year, hopefully in the spring.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Vada, and thank you so much, Mr. Gable. And Mr. Good, if there are no other questions for it, we're going to move on. All right. Thank you all. Great presentation. And we have the SPLOST so far so good. Moving in the right direction. Board of Commissioners, you're welcome. Board of Commissioners, please, I ask that you take a look at your expenses for tomorrow and be prepared to approve accordingly. And then we're going to move right into tab number 4, which is under County Administrator's Business. And this morning we have authorization for the Collaborative Firm LLC to continue education for the current transit system and to initiate public engagement or potential SPLOST in November. Our Assistant County Administrator will be presenting. Tiffany Stewart-Stanley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. Good morning, Board of Commissioners, Deputy County Administrator Fred Perry, and staff. I am bringing before you today a public engagement, 2 public engagement issues. We're seeking authorization for the collaborative firm to continue the education that they've been doing very well, informing our citizens about various transit initiatives for Connect Douglas. And so we're renewing that contract, and that contract would run from January 1st of this year through December 31st. The contract is for $100,000. And it is just the contract that we've been doing with the collaborative firm in the past. And then the second part of the agenda item is to for the collaborative firm to provide communications and public involvement in order to engage our citizens regarding a potential SPLOST program for the county. And this contract would run from March 1st of 2022 through November 30th of 2022. And the contract amount would be for $155,000 with $20,000 for other direct costs. And like I said before, these are public engagement issues. I'm helping to get the word out about transit initiatives and, of course, potential SPLOST initiatives. These contracts still are pending final legal review. And also, I would defer to the Transportation Committee Chairman as far as whether or not these need to be vetted by the Transportation Committee. But these are just things that we're bringing forth in order to get the public engagement and to continue the public engagement for our transit services, and then looking towards a potential SPLOST programs. And so I'll yield at this time for any questions.
All right, thank you so much, Assistant County Administrator. Board of Commissioners, we have any questions regarding this item, tab number 4?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Robinson, Vice Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. I think I get it. Madam ACA regarding the offering. I'm fine with the education for continuing what we currently have. I'd like to make one note. I'd like for us, it was the golden years. There's an organization out there of our beloved seniors that would like a more direct presentation on the current system and how to access it. We do an excellent job online and look at all the buttons and whistles, and you can do all this stuff that some people just like me need a little bit more help. So they need a little bit more direct. Can you set that up for me and ensure that that's done, please? The golden years?
Yeah, the Golden Years Club. Yes.
All right, thank you. I told him I would do that. So to Miss Nikki Medina, I did what I said I was going to do. All right, moving on. Education, which is a continuance of the board over the past 5 years has done an excellent job in this SPLOST. One more time, I cannot underemphasize or overemphasize. You delivered. Terry, you guys, you rocked. Solid. We got real work that we can show the citizens. Look at our fruit, right? So it was pent up. There's still a lot more to be done, but at the same point, we're coming to the end of this. There's a transition point, and so it's important for the citizens' sake. Okay, we just got started? Do we continue on? To be able to do that, there's two things. What have you done? Which you guys have done a good job, but what else needs to get done? The public needs to be educated. So I see this. So to my peers, this is more from just a transportation. To her point, I respect the other chairmen, the various committees to get information. In other words, okay, what would be the next set of priorities? Obviously, just for my sake, I think that subdivision resurfacing is critical, right? It's something that has been captured in times past. I know there were some public safety things that need to be captured, but we need to be able to obviously engage the citizens. You have to educate the citizens. This cannot be a directive that thou shalt do, and we can't order this. So this is a process, and so I wanted to bring this before you guys to take a look at this. I'm not suggesting that this matter had to go to transportation. I'm just going to bring it up and make sure I can weigh in respectfully when you guys weigh in. So that's what that was about, Madam Chair, was not to try to say that it has to come into transportation. It was more of a, this is how I was going to do this particular area. So this will go from when? All right, so if there is a March to November, at what point do you do it? Is there a milestone or checkpoint in here some kind of way?
Yes. So, Vice Chairman, yes. So the one for the Transportation Committee was the initial transit for Connect Douglas. That was the one that I was referring to, and that one was January 1st through December 31st. For the SPLOST contract, so there would be just some initial stakeholder engagement from March through June of this year. And then the checkpoint would actually be in June of 2022, where an update will be provided to the Board of Commissioners. So there is a checkpoint positioning here, so more information can be provided, from what they found out from engaging the citizens.
All right, so about a 90-day runway, get some base information. The board will determine what it's going to do in June, and we go from there to the rest of it. Got it. All right, I think I got it. Madam Chair, yield. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Chairman Robinson, and also to Mr. Stanley. I see you. Any other comments from the boards or remark? Commissioner Guider, you have the floor.
Thank you. First of all, I don't understand why these have been grouped together. They're two different things. And I know the collaborative firm has had the bus publicity, I guess, I think for about 5 years now. So, and I may be wrong, my memory may be wrong, but I thought it was at $50,000 for the bus system. That's why we didn't have to advertise it. Now it's 100. Seems like we've got to advertise this. Tiffany.
I'm here. Yes, I can verify that information. I do not have the old contract, so I can verify that information for you, whether or not this falls outside of that range.
How long have the collaborative firm, how long have they had this contract? I believe they took it over in 2017.
Yes, I know it's been a couple of years, and Michael Hightower, the managing partner, he is on the firm, is on the call, and so he can provide some information for that. And I will answer your question. I did put them both on here because, like I said, they're public engagement, and I just wanted to make sure that there was a differentiation between the two contracts. So that's why they're one agenda item, but they are two separate contracts.
Well, they should be on two separate agenda items, is my understanding. And before Michael, before you speak, I want to ask also, and memory serves me, and I don't know if it applies to a renewal, but that public funds, tax dollars, cannot be used to push for a splosh. It has to be done by private people. Is that not true?
So yeah, so there's two separate ways you could to look at it. So there is an education piece, and then there's an advocacy piece. And you are correct. As a county, we cannot advocate and tell people to vote for the SPLOST or not vote for the SPLOST, but we can educate them about what a SPLOST is, what the potential projects are, what it means to the citizens to actually have a SPLOST, and the process So we would be doing the education piece, which is definitely separate from an advocacy piece. We would not be advocating and telling citizens to vote for or to vote against the SPLOST.
$150,000 to tell them what a splosh is when we've been paying a splosh since beginning of 2017. That seemed, but anyway, to me, it should be put out for bid. I know the collaborative firm has been working with Douglas County quite a lot lately. Not only do they do the bus system, but they're a subcontractor of VBH, who got a huge contract from Douglas County. So we need to make sure that we are bidding out so there's no perception of wrongdoing on our part. So, and it's nothing against you, Mr. Hightower, but we're bound by law. So we don't just give contracts away. We have to bid them out when they're over a certain amount. So I don't understand why we're not bidding the splosh one out.
Well, what I'll do, Commissioner Goddard, is I will get with our procurement director and just make sure that we're following the proper procedures, just to verify, so we can make sure that we clear up any concerns of you or any of the commissioners may have regarding the process. So okay. I'll definitely make sure to do that.
Now, Mr. Hightower, I'll let you speak. How long have you been doing the bus system?
Well, first, good morning, Commissioner Goddard, and members of the board, and thank you for allowing us to just take a brief part of that. But as Ms. Stewart Stanley indicated, what we would do is verify. I think she's committed to providing you the exact timetable, so I'll make sure that we confirm those timetables with her from this work session. So that's what the exact date. I think we started 2000. My recollection is 2018, not 17. It's kind of, but I'll verify that and get it to Ms. Stanley. That's my recollection. 2000. Okay,
it was on the when we first started the bus system, but I thought the contracts were $50,000 because we didn't bid those either. So.
No, actually, Ms. Scott, as you may recall, I think the initial work and which we went after, that there was a procurement that went out. We did compete on a competitive basis. As a matter of fact, there were 4 or 5 firms that went out, and I'm quite sure as Ms. Tiffany Stanley will look at them, there were 4 other firms, and there were 4 or 5 firms that Miguel had received proposals for. So this was not a situation where our firm just arbitrarily came in and secured work. There was the procurement that was done by Douglas County in a very professional manner, and we were one of the firms that competed for this work at that particular time. But I'll make sure.
I don't know where my memory keeps popping out. 50,000. So that's why I was kind of surprised when it said 100,000. So
well, we're very confident.
Yes, you can. Tiffany, just get back with us before tomorrow, definitely. But this should be on 2 different items. And why I would just like to know why we're not bidding the new contract out. So with that, and maybe Mr. Coleman, if he's on the line, just so he is aware too, about we've got to be very careful. We do not spend tax dollars to push for the splosh, but because that's in the law, the splosh law. But is someone trying to speak? I keep hearing something. I'm sorry. Feedback, I guess. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Hightower. And
thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I give back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Gardner. Thank you again, Assistant County Administrator, and thank you again, Mr. Hightower. I saw our attorney turn this camera on. Were you trying to say something?
Thank you.
No, I was gonna respond to Commissioner Guyder's question, and I understand her concern. And when I received the contract on Friday, I did discuss with Ms. Stewart Stanley that we needed to talk to procurement about it, and that would be a part of our legal review to confirm that we are in compliance with the procurement requirements. So we had already discussed that and definitely plan to review that and see if we are, and we'll let you know by tomorrow.
Okay, thank you so much, Steve. All right. If there's nothing else,
Madam Chair, my staff just provided me. Madam Chair.
Yeah, you have the floor.
I'll be very brief. Ms. Guider raised a point. We can clarify number one. Our firm submitted on February the 7th, 2018, on the procurement, and it was February the 7th when we submitted to be considered for this work, and it was a competitive process. And that's what we did on the back in 2018, and we submitted with 4 or 5 other firms. And so there was a process that allowed us to submit our firm for consideration, and that's what we did. And I'll be happy to provide that information to Mr. Stanley as well. But I have a copy of the actual proposal document that we submitted in a competitive process.
Were they ever renewed at 50,000? That contract?
Ms. Guider, what I can do on the dollar amount and those specifics, as Ms. Stewart Stanley indicated, she would get the information back to you. I would not give you off the cuff information, but we can get you everything you need, certainly through Ms. Stewart Stanley. And
okay, thank you. Thank you.
If you need anything else, we'd be happy to provide that as well.
I get back.
And thanks for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Hightower, and thank you again, Commissioner Guider. If there's nothing else, Board, I believe we're going to move on to our next item. Our next item, Board of Commissioners, as you may look with, is certainly under the business items, tab number 5, approval of Project Rockwell's participation in Douglas County Tax Incentives Plan, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chris Pumphrey, our Development Authority Executive Director of our Development Authority, you're here with us this morning. Good morning. And
good morning.
Good
morning. Thank you, Madam Chair and Board of Commissioners, for having us this morning. It is
everyone. Yep. Thank you. I am. My name's Dave Carosella. I work for Norma Group. I just want to give a quick overview on our company. We're a global leader in what we define as engineered joining technology. And what that means is we provide joining solutions for systems and mechanisms to support manufacture of machines and engines, and within water management, pharmaceutical, and various like appliances and stuff. We're headquartered in Maintal near Frankfurt, Germany. In 2020, we had sales of a little over $1 billion through about 10,000 customers spread out over 100 countries around the world. We manufacture over like 40,000 different products in 3 product categories: water, fluid, and fasten. We have about 28 manufacturing facilities around the world, numerous sales and distribution sites. We employ over 8,500 people currently. The new facility that we will be leasing in Douglas County will be an expansion of our California manufacturing site that focuses on the mega trend of water management. It's branded under the name of NDS, standing for National Diversified Sales. NDS was a company formed in 1972. We're a market leader in residential and commercial solutions in stormwater management, landscape irrigation, flow management valves for residential and commercial markets. NDS has had a very strong historical growth. We're forecasting over the next 5 years of a compound annual growth of over 10%. To support this growth, the site in Douglas County will focus on injection molding, tube extrusion, and assembly of these water management products, with a CapEx investment for Norma, for us, of nearly $30 million, and employ 100 plus employees over the next 5 years. Thank you. Misty, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Misty Meggs, the consultant that helped Project Rockwell kind of go through the process, and it was a competitive environment. We looked at the entire Southeast at the onset on a macro level, came down to a short list of 3 states. Tennessee, South Carolina, and Georgia, focusing in on Atlanta and the surrounding area. I've worked several projects throughout the years and understand Georgia and appreciate the team that is here today. I will say this is that my experience over the years, Breezy and her team and Chris are by far one of the best. So I think that's important to say. On the analysis part, we really did a deep dive on understanding labor sustainability, the risk associated with those key components, the overall cost, tax environment, tax implications, real estate opportunities. I'm sure you all know that the Atlanta market is relatively hot. So kind of, being able to pull the trigger quickly was important. So the response time on the county level was critical to understand the economics of it all in all. So that's kind of how we landed here and focused on the most optimal site, Douglas County on Riverside, with all things considered. So thank you for the support. Any questions? Happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Misty.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Dave. And we appreciate you choosing Douglas County. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions for any of our speakers today, presenters? Vice Chairman Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to our guests for being here and for choosing Douglas County. And Chris, thank you for doing the phenomenal job that you and your office is doing. You pretty much got my district built out, man, and so I appreciate it. That being said, Chris, this is Riverside on Thornton Road side or the Fairburn Road side, just for the record.
Yeah, this is at the intersection of Riverside and Thornton Road.
Got it. Okay, thank you very much. And you didn't want to get into the details, but I heard maybe 100 jobs. I heard a certain $1 million worth of investment. Is local part of the conversation for consideration?
Yeah, so the building that is being leased was a speculative building that was built by a private developer, and so really that really is what leads everything is having the product first, and as Misty mentioned, speed to market. So that building was pretty much under construction, actually just concluded last year, towards the latter part of last year, and so that's the building that they are leasing. When it comes to local participation, you do have, the final build out that has to be done. And so, those things will be contracted out. And then you've got the employees that need to be hired. And so we'll make sure that the community, that the citizens know the job opportunities that exist. And we'll make sure that the word gets out as we always do, helping, the local community, get opportunities to work right here in Douglas County.
Got it. All right. So, this is actually a tax incentive plan. Is this a pilot or is this over time? How do you structure it?
Yeah, this is a 10-year property tax incentive plan. It includes the spec building, the improvements made by Project Rockwell, and the equipment all going into the building. All in, it totals about $41 million. And so that is part of the 10-year plan. Year one is 100% exempt, and then they start paying property tax in year two. It's 10% in year two, 10% in year three, and then it jumps up, it doubles to 20%, so forth and so on. We also ran on every one of our projects that we do consider a property tax incentive plan. We run a loci analysis. That is a local fiscal impact analysis on every project to ensure that, we're not, the county or the schools are not losing money on those projects. And so we ran that analysis and had a total benefit of $3.8 million. Once you net out any, costs of services and what have you, it's about a $2.6 million net present value. To kind of put that in perspective, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was fine. That was good enough. I don't have so much time on the floor. No, that was sufficient. Thank you. So then my final point is, again, back to participation. So I heard 100 so jobs, and I'm glad to hear your show. They picked this position shovel ready. Got it. They're already in play. The speed to market. Got it. All right. So out of those 100 employees, how fast would you think you will ramp to hire those individuals? And so my second question, what is the average wage regarding this? And finally, the types of skill sets. That's all I need to answer. Those three things, and I yield. Thank you.
Misty or Dave, do you want to answer that, or I can tackle two-thirds of it.
I have the first third.
Okay.
Hopefully that's the different third. But we're starting with a shell, as Chris mentioned. So really, start of production would be the end of this year. We are buying the equipment that's used in the manufacturing process, brand new, extremely long lead times. But we'll be, the salary staff, so to say, would be about 30% of the, 25-30% of the staff. And then the rest would be like an operators. We'd be a 3-shift operation with employees working throughout the night. Probably start this year, really next year is when we're really going to get going. And after 3 years, we should be up to speed full scale. Okay.
Chris, average wage?
Yeah, we've got an average wage of 30. Make sure I'm looking at it right.
36.12, Chris.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
$36.12.
Thank you, Joe. $36.12. Our county average wage is $22.36. So a significantly greater than our county average wage, which we are proud to say is, majority of the projects that we are bringing in the door are coming in above our county average wage. So we're starting to see the quality of jobs and skill sets in the community continue to increase.
That's sufficient, guys. Thank you very much. Madam Chair, I've taken sufficient time. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Chairman Robinson. Any other questions from the board? All right. Thank you so much again, Executive Director Chris Humphrey, and thank you, Misty and Dave, for coming in today, sharing the aggressive news with Douglas County. And again, thank you, most importantly, for choosing Douglas County. This is a big deal. Thank you. Board of Commissioners, if there's nothing else, we're going to move on to our next item. Our next item is tab number 7, approval of the Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, for e-filing with Peach Court, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Vanessa Miller, you have the floor.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So this is something that people have been asking, local attorneys have been asking for. It's a separate option for any e-filer to file their documents that are required to be done electronically through an additional vendor. We're not getting rid of the one we have, we're adding an option. So I think this will be great. This will give people options, especially if one's down. This is called Peach Court. They're located in Carrollton, and they work directly with Icon, closer than our current system does. So our current system, you have to go outside to another website and then check the things from there. And then you have to go back into Icon, which is our case management system, and finish everything out. This one works directly in Icon. So it would be easier for us, it'd be easier for attorneys. Like I said, a lot of attorneys have been asking for it. I don't believe there's a cost to the county. The filers always pay that. There may be a minimal cost of setting everything up. I'm not 100% sure, but Mr. Coleman, if you're here, you could elaborate on the details. He has the contract and the memorandum of understanding. The contract itself is has gone through the Georgia Clerks Authority and has been set up so that this particular vendor, any court that signs up with them goes by the same rules. And so a lot of the hard work's already been done on that end. And then the memorandum of understanding is just what we as a court and what each court would do for us and what we would do for them. So it's pretty simple. I know that Mr. Coleman has looked over everything. We've gone back and forth a couple times, but I believe we're in agreement on everything. And Mr. Coleman, you can certainly speak to that.
You're correct. We have reviewed the contract, made some suggested minor modifications, which have been accepted by Peach Court. And, you know, if you guys are fine with the business terms, and we are fine from a legal perspective. And I think your description of it as being a part of the uniform agreed MOU, I think is correct. And so we have no objections to it from a legal perspective.
Any questions?
Any questions, Board of Commissioners? Thank you so much, Ms. Miller. Any questions, please? All right, thank you.
All right, y'all have a great day.
Okay, Board of Commissioners, please forgive me for the oversight. I missed tab number 6. And tab number 6 is approval of the form of development agreement for the Lee Road area tab 1, subject to final legal review. And certainly, again, our Executive Director, Chris Pumphrey, from the Development Authority will be presenting. Chris, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I got kicked to the curb.
Oh, no, you did. I just missed it. I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay. We have, as you all know, been working very diligently over the last several months on getting the TAD in place, getting the IGA approved, which was done at the last meeting, kind of subject to the stipulations made by Commissioner Robinson and Carthen in the last meeting. During that time, we were working on the form of the development agreement. And so we've been working very closely with Michael Coleman and Sherman Golden, and our consultant, Charles Watley, and attorney Joe Fowler, and just kind of pulling this together. What we have done is provided a resolution, kind of a resolution that basically is that would adopt a form development agreement that also outlines some additional items that need to be fleshed out as it relates to policies going forward for every project. And I'll be brief kind of with an overview, but the TAD development agreement is a funding contract for any TAD grant that's provided to a specific real estate development project within the Douglas County TAD, TAD number 1. So not every development that goes into the TAD is a part of a development agreement. It's just only those that would receive any TAD proceeds for their project. And so the development agreements would be executed between the county, the Douglas County Development Authority, and the developer of the particular site within the TAD district. So those would be the parties to every development agreement. And so the purpose of it is it sets forth the duties, the timeline, responsibilities, and uses of funds related to the grant. The basis for project cost reimbursements, including the eligible cost, the timing, the requisition, any payment processes, the special TAD account used for repayments, and other project-related requirements and responsibilities of the parties to the agreement. And so there's a number of key parts throughout the development agreement. And so it lays out the requirements of the responsible parties. It has the county policies for jobs fairs, employment and reporting, SBE, MBE, FBE, participation goals, green building standards, and other regulatory compliance requirements mandated by the county ordinance or state law. It also includes the amount of TAD funds available to a project, including the eligible expenditures that can be reimbursed, conditions for funding, and the disbursement process. And so there's, it goes on and on from there. It also includes project-specific dependencies. So there'll be a project summary in the TAD development agreement, the site description, the project budget, and the project construction schedule. All those items are kind of within that TAD agreement. And every project is going to be different. And so there's some standards that are in the form agreement, and then there will then be kind of negotiation in the agreement. But as I mentioned, every single one of those agreements would be between the development authority, the county, and the project developer. So you all will be very much a part, excuse me, a part of this process. There still are some policies that need to be fleshed out, but we at least wanted to get the form agreement in place, and the resolution kind of speaks to the fact that the policies still need to be fleshed out, which we will do over the next several months. So before we actually come back to the county staff and you all as commissioners with a development agreement for consideration for a specific project, all of those policies would have been fleshed out and adopted by you all first. So I'll pause there if there are any other questions. And like I said, Michael Coleman and Sherman Golden have been working very closely with us throughout this entire process.
Any questions for the commissioners? Okay. Sounds like there are no questions for you. Yes, thank you so much. All right, we're going to move on to our next tab for the commissioners, which is tab number 8, authorization to classify park security officers.
Try again.
Madam Chair?
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, Vice Chairman Robinson, did you have a question?
I did. I'm sorry that something happened to my computer, but we're going to keep this moving. So in the meantime, I do have a couple of questions, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Chris Pumphrey. Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. So again, Lee Road, I get the specifics. One of the things I want clarity for is, again, this is sort of a master plan area, right? With a lot of different components associated with it. And so, again, I want to come back to, and I think my county attorney knows this is important for me, to ensure that their return over time. Now, I'm not going to be here in 2 or 3 years. So this is when I was like, no, this is a straight condition to ensure, like, guys, I mean, I hear what I'm saying. You don't need this. I want to ensure that the public gets what they expected to get out of this. It will manifest that vision. Architectural control is going to be just that. I do not want it to get away when we approve this and then developers have all this power and authority and they begin to do things any old kind of way. I need assurance, and that's all I'm asking for. So, Michael Coleman, County Attorney, you there? You know this is one of my issues. We don't have to solve it now, and it's for the record. In some kind of way, my expectation, my condition must be in this policy, must be in whatever we're about to do, some kind of way.
Understood, Vice Chairman. We did draft some language for the IGA after discussing this issue with you, which provides that the development authority would have the responsibility of cooperating and talking with you guys on the board about the timing and appropriateness and et cetera of bringing in either a project manager or owner's rep or a similar professional with respect to the TAD projects. So we built that language and that requirement into the IGA, which I have circulated to you for review. That I think that is directly responsive to what we discussed. And certainly, I think under the IGA, we'd be obligated to do that. So hopefully, we do understand your concern, and we'll continue to keep it in mind. And if we have to have additional language in addition to what's in the IGA, we'll look to shore that up.
Sounds good. All right. So, Madam Chair, I just wanted to make that point, and that's all I needed. I yield the floor.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice Chairman Robinson. And again, thank you, Attorney Coleman.
Let me just add, Madam Chair, the draft language is circulated to all the board members. So yes. It's there, and once we hear from you, we can finalize that agreement.
Okay, thank you so much.
Madam Chair.
Vice Chairman Robinson. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, I appreciate it, and don't get me wrong. County attorney is doing a great job of hearing the need and bridging the gap. Yeah, but as you know, this is more for the citizens who don't follow day to day, and I don't want to think for them to believe that their thoughts are missed or not heard, and that they're hearing us. This is very technical on a certain level. Like, okay, we hear all that, but I got y'all right back. They wanted to make sure as we commit to these type of, we give these tools to Development Authority use economic development tools, TAS, and different SPLOS, and all types of things, the opportunity zones, and all these things, and incentive plans. Like, okay, are they realizing what they're intended to do? I'm going to come back, at some point, I'm going to get into the financial part of this, the compliance. Show me the numbers that is realizing it. Don't tell me that we're doing okay. Don't tell me, I'm telling you ahead of time, I need to see that. So that's the second part. We won't get into this. I want to ensure, back to reporting. Don't tell me this. I've experienced it. Show me that that exists in the document, that we will get this, and that it's consistent, so that we're always prepared to speak to our citizens about what it is. So that's the other part, the compliance part, right? Making sure that's in. I know you said you got language. I'm gonna keep saying it until it's signed. Until Madam Chair signs it, that I know that everything's lined up. I get to keep saying it. I get to keep advocating for it, because I'm making a point. You guys have got to make sure that we're getting what we realize, right?
Yes, sir. And Vice Chairman, with respect to the reporting piece, there are specific provisions in the development agreement, which we drafted, that requires reporting on a number of different, aspects of the deal. Jobs aspect, they've got to comply with the use restrictions that are put in for a certain period of time. In fact, one of the items that we spent some time discussing last week was how long do they have to comply with the use restrictions? When you guys sign off on a TAD, you're signing off on a particular project, and you allocate TAD funds for the cost of that project. And we've got language in that requires that use to remain in place for several years, subject to the board having the authority to allow someone to do a different use if necessary, but it has to be board approved. Reporting on jobs, there are a number of different aspects of the transaction for which we will receive periodic reports, and we'll have broad access to information to be able to go in and look at what's happening, what's going on. All of that's built into the development agreement already.
Okay, so the last thing then is, how long would a TAD last on average? I mean, what is the run of this thing? It's unlike a SPLOS that has a definitive time frame. Is there a definitive time frame in a TAD?
Well, in terms of the draft development agreement, we've got like a 15-year term there. But I think all that's subject to negotiation.
Look, I'm making my point. 15 years, guys. And these things will live beyond, maybe 1, 2, 3 of us may not even be here in 15 years. This is stuff that has to be codified and institutionalized for the future, to my point. All right, I'm sure I got it. He answered the question. He did well. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions forward? If not, we're going to move on. All right. Thank you again, Mr. Proctor. And thank you, Attorney Coleman. We're going to move on to tab number 8. Board of Commissioners authorized to classify park security officers as public safety, to include an approval to receive a 5% public safety increase in a total amount of $11,385.34 to be included in the budget revision in April 2022, retroactive from January 1st, 2022, as recommended by the Parks and Recreation Oversight Committee. Director Dukes, you have the floor.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Commissioners. First of all, I'll try to keep this brief. This is not a new issue. This is not something I'm just bringing to the board. When the conversation started about raises back last year, I went and advocated for our 5 park security officers to be included as public safety, and went to the county administrator and the assistant county administrator and explained why, as far as their duties, qualifications, that they are constables of the court, they're sworn officers, they enforce all the park ordinances, they work with the sheriff's department on thefts, break-ins. There's a whole list of public safety duties that they perform. So after I explained that, I was assured by the county administrator they would be included as public safety. And so I even followed up on that, several weeks later as it got closer to the first of the year, and was again reassured that our park security officers would be included in the 10%. They would get the 10% raise. Well, it didn't happen. I'm not sure why. I never got an explanation why it didn't happen. But I'm still advocating for the 5 officers. I then took it to our Recreation Oversight Committee and again went through the qualifications they have to have. They're sworn officers again. And brought it before the committee, and the committee agreed that they should be included as public safety unanimously, and requested that we bring it back or bring it to the board. And that's why we have it in front of you today. I'll be glad to answer any questions that I can.
Any questions, board?
Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Carpenter, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, Director Dukes. How are you?
Good morning.
So can you explain just a tad bit how important it is for our safety officers to open and close the parks, and during the times when there are games and other things that are going on, just to relay it to the public, just to further reiterate, why the Parks and Recreation Oversight Team unanimously voted to make sure that we include them. And my apologies for them being overlooked. It was not intentional on the Board of Commissioners, but again, we only get to see or hear about things that are brought to our attention. And it was only brought to our attention when you raised the question.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be glad to. They're a very important part of our staff. They're overlooked, basically, but they work 365 days a year. They work all holidays. Of course, they rotate. They have to rotate shifts as well, just like the sheriff's department. Some at daytime and some in the evening, because the parks are open until 11 o'clock at night. They do a lot of conflict resolution in parks when people have disagreements. It could be over a ball game, or it could be over a picnic shelter. They never know what they're having to do. So they also work very closely with the sheriff's department. We have some car, not a lot, but we have car break-ins. When we have signs all over our parks that say, do not leave anything in your vehicles, but people still leave computers on their seats and purses on their seats when they go walk and jog. And of course, that's a target for people in our parks. So when we have those instances, they have to fill out reports. They work with the sheriff's department. They also review all the video cameras that we have in our parks and share that with the police department when we have incidences. So they're public safety, I would say, very much so. And they do a great job. And they clear parks at night at 11 o'clock. They're by themselves. They have to go in and clear parks. If there's vehicles still in the parks or anyone still sitting in a park, they have to go in there and get those people out. So they do a great job.
Thank you, Director Duke. So, Madam Chair and full Board of Commissioners, I would say that we wholeheartedly consider granting this to be retroactive back to January when we look at where we are at the end of the March revisits, that this should be funded. Thank you, Director Dukes. And with that, Madam Chair, I yield.
Thank you.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Commissioner Gotti, you have the floor. I was talking to myself.
I think you were talking to yourself. Gary, how is this handled in other counties? Do you know?
Yes, ma'am. Most of the counties, most of the recreation departments have security staff. some of them even go as far as to have their own police department, police officers that are carry weapons in their departments.
So our security officers do not carry any kind of weapon, not even a taser or anything like that.
No, ma'am, they are not post certified. They are just constables of the court. So that's an option. Some recreation departments do it, and some do not. I prefer them not be. I would rather that they just be constables of the court. They all have phones, they all have radios, so it's just a matter of we encourage them not to get involved in any kind of conflict in any way. If they feel like it could be escalated to anything other than conversation, we ask them to call the sheriff's department.
So they don't do investigations on the break-ins of the cars, or they don't confront people that are a little bit rowdy. They may try to do it.
Yes, ma'am. They will
By talking it down, but if it gets rowdy, they just call the sheriff's office.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And they, like I said, they monitor all of our security cameras in the parks where we have them, and we share that with the sheriff's department. Whether it's a break-in or whether it could be a conflict or someone's behavior, if we check our security cameras and if we have it on tape, then we share that with the sheriff's department.
But going back to my original question, do you know of surrounding counties that classified them as public safety with the CARES Act and the other?
I haven't spoken with any other counties about that.
Okay. With that, I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Guider. Any other questions for Director Duke, Board of Commissioners? Okay. I will just close by saying it makes sense that what you've brought before the Board of Commissioners, and certainly Commissioner Carthen heard you loud and clear about the consideration of going back from the start of the year for retroactive. Also, Ms. Dukes just had a question for you regarding that post-certification. You said you have no desire for that to occur at this time. Any particular reason, particularly as times, me and you know that the times that we live in certainly are not like they were 25 to 30 years ago. Any particular reason why?
Madam Chair, I guess I don't correlate recreation with having people in our parks with guns if we don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
We could certainly revisit that, but our officers aren't paid what sheriffs and police officers are paid either. They're not budgeted for that. We would certainly, if we choose to go that route and want to take a look at it, we would certainly have to consider salary and that sort of thing as well.
Okay. Certainly, just food for thought. No reactions. Just certainly.
Sure.
Just, okay. Well,
I'm open-minded.
Okay. Certainly, we'll bring I look forward to this coming before the Board of Commissioners tomorrow. This particular item. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We're going to go on to tab number 9, Board of Commissioners authorization to purchase stream credits from Mulberry Creek LLC at a cost of $145,960 required for the Army Corps of Engineers permit for the Stewart Mill Road and Reynolds Road intersection improvement project to be funded from the 2016 SPLOST funds allocated to this project, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. And Director Valentin, I know this is something that Commissioner Guider and Commissioner Parker want to hear about. This project has been dancing on the radar for quite a while, so you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Indeed, it's been in the works for quite a while, but we are very close to that goal line. One of the last elements that we needed was the permit from Army Corps And in connection with that, there is a stream buffer variance permit as well. And we have been working with our engineering consulting team to be able to provide to the Army Corps and the EPD, the Georgia Environmental Protection Division, all of the details on the plans that they have requested. And so we've been going back and forth, and we finally decided to move forward. We had identified the stream credits that were required for the Army Corps permit some time ago, late last year. However, we wanted to go through the process of the stream buffer variance on the project to see if there was anything additional that we would need. So we had been holding off on finalizing this until we were certain. But that said, the Army Corps permit is sort of hinging on the stream credits, and stream credits are required, just to give you a little background, whenever there's an impact to a live stream by a project, and there are a couple of culverts involved with that intersection project. They're being redesigned. One of them is being replaced altogether. And so what this will do is, at least as it relates to the Army Corps permit, meet the criteria for it. They will not issue the permit until we get the other one from EPD, but nonetheless, they will be poised to issue the permit as soon as we clear everything required by EPD. So to light up the interchange, and the poles are going to be 40 foot tall. There is a typo in the original version of the agreement. We've gotten a revised version, and I'll be getting that to you before they're ready to be signed. But nonetheless, 7 lights, high intensity lights on 40 foot poles at that intersection to assist with visibility in the evening and at night.
That's nice. Board of Commissioners, you have any questions? Thank you so much, Director Valentine.
Thank you.
We're going to move on, Board of Commissioners, to tab number 11. 11 is authorization to seek requests for proposals for federal funding grant administrator. We have our purchasing director, Latanya Amons, on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and to the Board of Commissioners. Good morning. I am seeking authorization to solicit a proposal for qualified vendors that will provide grant administration for the particular county. So it's my understanding that Commissioner Robinson would like an overview of all of the grants that we now manage across the departments, so we could have a one shot or a bird's eye view of all of the grants. And the person who we hire or contract for this particular RFP will report to the current grants manager and add additional support. This will cover mainly transportation, but again, we need to have oversight of the monies that are coming in, going out, and this particular role will help in that supporter endeavor. And so I am seeking a report to place a bid out on the street real soon.
Thank you so much, Director Amon. Certainly with the infrastructure bill in play right now, this is very important that the Board of Commissioners have a single bird's eye view and an alignment of all our grants that are out there that are potentially available to us as we continue to change the game here in Douglas County. Vice Chairman Robinson, I see your hand. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, thank you, Director Amons. You get on point. Single view of everything is what I'm about. Single view. And it's, again, this is not just about applying for grants. This is the management of it. It's the ongoing. Right? It's making sure that we're in compliance. And so, to my peers, I'm involved in a recent conversation with the administration, and it made me remember, well, everybody says that we got this, we do this. With my experience with Lee Road, should not have cost me $22 million. I should not have had 2 sets of federal file folders to McGill to have to reconcile versus this. We have lived this, that no, if I had to really audit y'all and call it right now, we probably didn't do very well. Yes, we're being audited, but nobody can give me a single view. Everybody's in their own little world, but nobody can give me, I'm sure, a single view of anything. And we've got to be better than that, because by having that information, we can now leverage. So the other part of this is also the technology. Right? We need a platform. I don't need the abacus, and pencil. There is a higher level of performance. And while this is not just about transportation, we got an art list. It's not that this federal. I don't even think transportation in there. And yet we're already taking money off of it, just a little bit here, a little bit, but still, where's the single view, guys? That's a single funding moment. Oh, we got accounting doing it over here, we got finance over, guys, that's still a program. And we chop this up in such a way, okay, are they going to get what they're looking at? We're exposed here. So the point is that we're looking for somebody to come in here and take us to the next level. So I want to make sure that this is not just about the person for oversight, or persons, or whatever it turns out to be. Director Amos, is there a technology part that you didn't speak to that? Can you speak to that as an important provision, please?
Yes. So the technology piece, I would, wow, it can be separate or it can be together as far as requesting in an RFP if the vendor already currently has a platform that they are using. My only trepidation sometimes with the vendor having their own software is who's going to maintain the data and who has ownership rights of the particular data. So I did put an email out to New World to see if New World has a grant management module that we will be able to, if they do, utilize, because we already have a lot of data already in our current system. So when we're already coding, we already, have codes associated with, which, I'm new here, but in my history, there's splash codes, there's grant codes, and every time you do have a grant, there's a new financial, accounting stream set up. And so if we do have that, and we do have purchase orders that are associated with the right grants, we may already have a lot of that data in the system. It's just the best way to pull it out. And so, yes, you have grant administration, which is the legwork. You have grant administration, which is the platform. And so, yes, there are firms that can do a great job of both, but then we may already have some of the tools and may be able to save a little funding there. As far as the taxpayer, if we can already use what we have in the form of New World. And so I will research a little more and include that and come back to you all with the best approach as far as management and software, or just management.
Okay, let me clarify what this is. It's both.
Okay.
This is both. I know you're brand new, and we said we'd give you time to work this out over the next couple of weeks. So if March is your drop to the go live, then that's fine. But it's a pain point that I don't need to. I already know what my pain point is. I've already got the lump on my chest. I really do, and it hurts. Right, and so I'm sure as you talk to your other peers over in finance on what we currently have, and we've just not been impressed with, or we haven't had a chance to even. I mean, we've had this 9 years since I've been here. Mm-hmm. We get no data out of New World. We got customer. I don't even want you to get. I'm going to accelerate that real quick. At this point, the administration hasn't provided the board with anything that's relevant out of New World.
Okay.
I just put it that way. So I want to do your research. I still want that as a provision in here. Do both. Okay. Let it come back and let the process filter itself out. The board will decide, but don't discount that. That's important, please.
Okay, now understood. So you want software purchase and grant administration.
The solution. I mean, you can be both administrator and you need the platform. I don't need program managers without it, because you're relying on us, and I already know that we don't have it.
Okay.
We don't have it.
Understood.
Thank you. That's all, Madam Chair. I yield.
Okay, thank you. Any other remarks, board? Okay, thank you so much, Director Amos, and thank you so much, Vice Chairman Robinson.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other comments for the commissioners, certainly just want to yield to see if you have any comments regarding your individual districts. If not, I will certainly nudge our county attorney to see if we need to go in executive session. Okay, for the commissioners, if you don't have anything, certainly County Attorney Coleman, do we need to go in executive session? Attorney Coleman.
Madam Chair, sorry, I had a little problem with my mute here, but we do need to go into executive session to consider a real estate transaction.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney. Citizens of Douglas County, the Board of
Madam
Commissioners.
Chair?
Yes, Vice Chairman Robinson.
Yeah, we also need to discuss personnel, please.
Okay, real estate and personnel. All right. Citizens of Douglas County, the Board of Commissioners will be engaging in a executive session briefly. Certainly, we appreciate your patience, and we will return sooner than later. I don't want to give you a time, but certainly we'll be back. So with that being said, Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll do the second.
I know it sounds like a choir. Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second. Certainly, if there is any, do we have any discussion? If no discussion, when I call you districts, please respond accordingly. Board of Commissioners, District 1. District 1. District 2.
Yes.
District 3.
Yes.
District 4.
Yes.
Chairman, yes. District 1. Right now we have a 4 oral vote, and certainly just 4 unanimous vote, and to go into executive session, and the motion carries. Board of Commissioners. Board of Commissioners, do you need a 5-minute break, or you just
want
5 minutes? Okay, we'll convene on in our executive session. We'll start at 12:01. Clerk, you have it from here. Take it from here.
Yes.
You're back, Madam Chair. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Sierra, to the Board of Commissioners and the citizens of Douglas County. Thank you for your patience. The Board of Commissioners executive session has ended, and we've returned. The Board of Commissioners at this time, do you have any special announcements that you'd like to make? Okay, certainly, Clerk, if you could, we do have a special call meeting. If you could just reiterate tomorrow's plan to allow citizens to be abreast as well.
Yes, ma'am. We have a special called meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m. That's February the 15th. The subject of the matter has potential to be discussed in executive session, so we will more than likely go right into executive session once we open the meeting. Following executive session, we will go into our regular commission meeting at 6 p.m. and that will be in person in Citizens Hall.
Thank you so much, Clerk. All right, Board of Commissioners and the citizens of Douglas County, we received an update from Dr. Memark today, and it was quite thorough, so I won't be repetitive, but I do want to emphasize the need for us to continue with our 3 W's. Wash your hands repeatedly throughout the day, watch your social distancing, and please wear a mask while in public as we continue on with this Omicron variant. With no further ado, if there's nothing else to come before this body, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you and have a great day.